Thank you for joining us. So we'll start with some introductions. I'm Rafael. I'm the attending clinician here at the Pingree Center, and I am a BCBA, LBA, and I work with kids with autism.
I'm Joceline. I'm going to be helping Rafael present today. He is my BCBA supervisor. I'm a BCBA in training. Yeah, I'm excited.
We're super excited to have all of you, and any questions throughout, feel free to put them in the chat, but we're going to start now. Non-compliance at home, how to get the most out of your child's time. We'll start with a little video just to give you an example of what non-compliance looks like in the home. This is Super Nanny. I love the show.
All right, go sit down. That means you too.
In the evening, Dad and Grandma came home, and dinner turned out to be a complete disaster.
Eden, you need to eat 2 of your carrots, and then you can eat your bread.
Eden decided that she didn't want to eat any of her vegetables, and so there was this complete protest.
Okay, you know what? Look at my eyes. Stop the complaining. Right now. This is your warning. Stop the complaining or you're going to time out.
Eden's got an enormous amount of power and control over her parents.
Eden and Jonathan were absolutely going to have no part of eating anything.
So I'd like you to make it clear to the pair of them, I'm not having this nonsense anymore, okay? As simple as that. Because right now, we've got them acting like they're 2 years old. Jonah put his thinking cap on and finished first. So he was the first one to leave the table. And Jonathan sat there and cried, and so did Eden.
Jonathan and Eden, you need to stop it right now.
And they refused to listen to Mum. And she really had to stick to her guns and just lay down the rules, tell these kids what she expected, and then leave them. I want you to go back at the table and then say to them, I've asked you and already told you what I want you to eat, okay? And I want you to do as you're told and finish that off because you won't be leaving this table until that is done.
Jonathan and Eden, I have told you what I want you to do. Would you like Mommy to heat it up for you?
I don't like that.
Would you like me to heat it up for you?
Joe just gave me the willpower to persevere. You know, I've done this, it works, keep going. You're not hurting your kids. You're asking something very simple. You just want them to try. Let's, just keep going.
She said no. Okay. Right, well, let's go and play with the rest. It was a painstaking kind of time. She was definitely torn between, just saying, okay, up from the table and sticking to her word and following through.
Mommy!
Yes?
I ate the things that were right here. Come here. Good job.
Yes, you do get a cuddle and a hug with me. Oh. I am so proud of you. How does that feel to know you did that?
Eden, this is your last chance to have it heated up. Do you want it heated up, yes or no? No? Okay.
Eden never gave up.
She sat at that table, and then before long, she was kind of dozing off, and her head was kind of going.
She just held on till it was time to go to bed. I mean, she sat there forever. Tell everybody good night, and then you're going to bed.
The boys stay up playing.
Okay.
She doesn't have that privilege tonight. Okay. She's got to see that it's not about falling asleep and getting away with not doing it.
I definitely think that Eden was trying to control, and she lost. She knows she's not going to win.
All right, I hope that wasn't too triggering for anybody. I'm sure you all see this at home. It's so common. I know with my nephews and nieces, this is like a common thing with food, but we'll talk about it. What is non-compliance? So that was a great example, just not doing what is asked of you, not doing the task. So with this one, it was eating their vegetables. It can come in a lot of different forms. So it can be ignoring the task that was asked of. It can be taking longer than expected, even if you know that that task can be done very quickly. Doing that task incorrectly, even if they know how to do it. Arguing, saying, I don't want to do this right now. crying like the little girl was until she gets what she wanted, and even physical aggression with some of our kiddos, just getting so mad that they're going to hit you and scream until they get what they want.
So when do we see non-compliance? We can see non-compliance when we give a child a task that is too hard, when there's something more fun around. So if like the TV's on or something else is distracting, we'll see the non-compliance too. When they don't understand what is being asked. And we can also see non-compliance when something else made them frustrated. So this could be something like something happened at school or another stressful event that made them frustrated can be affecting their compliance to do a task.
And why is it important to work on compliance? So non-compliance is a learned behavior. The more it happens, the better they get at it, not complying to what you ask. So if it's something like eating their vegetables, the more they say no, the more they're going to do it. You might start with maybe, oh, I just don't want to eat a little bit of vegetables. Now they're not going to have any vegetables. They also might generalize it to other tasks. So maybe they're saying no to eating food, and now they're like, well, now I don't want to shower. Now I don't want to brush my teeth. Now I don't want to clean my room. It can get generalized very quickly. Kids are really good at learning what works and what doesn't work. And I mean, independence is the name of the game, and they may become less independent. If we're doing all these things for them, they're not going to want to do it for themselves. And when we're looking at school and doing their homework, when we're looking at getting a job in the future, this is really important to work on.
So methods for dealing with non-compliance, and we'll go over these in more detail later. They include setting clear goals or expectations, creating a task list, which involves either forward or backward chaining, which we'll explain later, the use of prompts, use of visuals. We could also create schedules to help with non-compliance. We can involve the child with the planning of a task, and we can also use positive reinforcement for attempt at completion or completion of a task.
So setting clear goals and expectations. Some children can feel overwhelmed or just have trouble understanding what is being asked of them. So when we're setting these clear goals, we can find out what they're willing to do or what they like and dislike. So maybe we have all these chores and we give them options of like vacuuming, cleaning the dishes, cleaning their room. And we find out, man, they really hate doing outdoor stuff, but they don't mind doing indoor stuff. Let's make it on that stuff. And I don't mind doing outdoor stuff for them. We can find out what reinforcers we need for the tasks that are like maybe harder for them. If we know that doing the dishes is super hard, they hate it, I hate it, I could see that. Let's get a reinforcer that they really like. If they love McFlurries, maybe that's the day that we pull out the McFlurry. Ways to set goals and expectations. We can have a conversation right before. So if it's doing the dishes, we can say, hey, Johnny, we're going to do dishes today. I expect all of these to be done. Let me know if you need any help. But just giving them a clear and concise idea of what's going to happen. We can also model how we want it to be done. If maybe they're having trouble understanding, we can say, hey, this is how you wash your dishes. You scrub right here, you use the soap, you put them on this dish rack. Modeling could help. And we can create a behavior contract. And if you haven't seen one before, they're super easy to use. And I think for those older kiddos, it's super helpful. So what it would look like is we've got the child's name. So Johnny's behavior contract. I, Johnny, promise to start showing the following positive behavior. So it can be something like, I will do my dishes, I will clean my room, I will keep my hands to myself. Whatever we want to work on, we can put that on there. If they do a good job, we'll put the goals and the rewards on there. So if I do good, I'll get my phone the whole time. I'll be able to play video games. Maybe I'll go get a DVD that I really want at the end of the week. If I don't reach these goals, here are my consequences. Maybe I don't get phone on the weekend. Maybe I don't get to watch that movie that I've been waiting for. Maybe I don't get to go out for treats at the end of the day. We can decide that together. We just need to really get them involved. If they are understanding and they can sign these out, feel like real adults, I think we'll get a lot more buy-in from them.
Another thing we can do to help with non-compliance is to create a task list. So some children can get confused with long tasks or have trouble understanding or doing a certain part of a task. So to help with this, we can break a task into smaller tasks. So for example, if we want them to wash the dishes, we can start out with telling them we have to wet the dishes. And then after we wet the dishes, we put soap, we rinse, we dry, then we put them away. And we should also go over all of the parts of the task that we want them to complete. So to do this, we can use either forward or backward chaining. So forward chaining is when we have the child start the task from the beginning, and then we let them go as far as we know that they're able to complete. And then from that step, we can help them finish. And then backward chaining is the opposite. So in this case, we will start the task for them, and then we'll let them finish the task from whatever step we know that they can do on their own. And then, so this is like an example of a task list that we might want our child to do. So this is for loading dishes in the dishwasher. So for forward chaining, the child would start with the first step. So they would open the dishwasher door, and then we will let them complete until we know that they can't complete the task anymore. So that could be like getting the dishwasher soap. If they don't know how to put the dishwasher soap in the tray, we can help them with that step and all the following steps that continue. And then in backward chaining, we would do the first steps. So say the kid can get the dishwasher soap, but they can't put the dishes in the dishwasher. So we would start from step 1 and let them complete the task from the step that we know that they are able to do on their own.
We can also use prompts. So what this is just extra help throughout the process that we're giving to them. So I've got it listed here just on the one that's the most restrictive, or just the one that creates the least independence, to the least restrictive or the most independent. So what they'll look like is physical, where we're guiding their body. So if we're looking at that same dishwasher example, this would be us moving their body to that location, maybe moving their arms to the spots that they need to go, but actually physically guiding it. When we go into hand over hand, it's a little bit less restrictive. Instead of forcefully grabbing or maybe just guiding, we're having our hands under and moving them where they need to be, even over, and just hovering so they know where they're supposed to go, but we're not moving them. After that, and once we feel like they mastered these, we can go into verbal prompts, where instead of using any physical touch or anything like that, we're just saying, hey, don't forget to put in the soap. Don't forget to close the dishwasher. Don't forget to press the button. We're all verbally doing it. And then once they have that mastered, we can go into gestural, where we're not saying anything. Maybe we just give them a little look like, hey, you forgot this. Or we point over there and say, hey, don't forget that little plate that you left over there. And we're just trying to work on the most independent that they can be. So we'll go down the list and see the least we can do, the better.
We can also use visuals to help kids understand what we are asking them to do. So sometimes they just need a visual reminder or a cue to figure out what they need to do. And these are examples of visuals that we use at the center and visuals that you can also use at home. So one that we use a lot is a first, then. And in this one, we would put, like, for example, first we will do the dishes and then we can watch TV. So we'll put the task and then we can put whatever reward they want to earn. We can also use a visual task analysis. So this just kind of has pictures of the steps or the things that they need to do in their routine. We can also use visual prompts. So instead of us like telling them what to do, they can use this to see what they have to do. And we can also use a visual schedule. With the visual schedule, they can choose what parts they want to do and they can see when they have to do them. And this kind of helps ease some of the anxiety kids may have from either not knowing what to do or not knowing what comes next.
Awesome. And we'll go in a little bit more into depth for these schedules. So some children just have trouble without routines. They really want to build that idea of they know what they're doing. So creating a schedule can lower that stress. Seeing what needs to be done, or when they get breaks, when they get rewards, I think that really helps them understand that this isn't forever. This is going to end. There's gold at the end of the rainbow. I'm going to get something out of this. Even if it's just a little break, it could be something as big as like a treat at the end of the day, but at least they know that something's going to happen after. And it also allows us to show us proof that they said that they were going to do this. If we create a schedule and they were part of building it, we can say, hey, remember, Johnny, you said that you could do these things. We wrote them down on here. You picked them in what order you wanted it. So let's do them. I think it helps with that buy-in. This is an example of a chart, just a little chore chart. I think this really helps to kind of have them understand these are the days of the week. This is when we do them. These are the chores that need to be done. It just creates a really good visual. I've seen parents do things like, if you get 20 of these check marks, then you get a prize at the end of the day to really entice them to do as many as they can. But we can really build this into whatever we want it to look like.
We can also involve the child with the planning of a task. Some kids want to feel independent, and involving them in the planning of a task helps them feel independent. So in this case, we can let them decide what chores they want to do. And if we let them decide, they'll be more willing to do the chores that they chose. We can also show them how many tasks need to be done. So that they know that they're not just the only ones doing chores at home. So for example, like if there's 5 things that need to get done at home, we can show them what each member of the family is responsible for so that they don't feel like they're the only ones doing things at home, and they see that everybody has a responsibility to do something. We can also tell them what times or days they would rather do things. So this can be like after watching TV on Fridays, which is something that I like to do. So throughout the week, I'm pretty busy, pretty tired after work, which most kids might be tired after school too. So letting them pick what time of the day and what day they would rather do a task makes them more willing to perform that task, and what this can look like. So we can give them a list of chores that need to get done, and then we can let them pick which chores they want to do and when they want to do them. We can let them choose the chores that they'll always be in charge of in the house. So if they like to vacuum, they'll always be responsible for vacuuming. And we can also ask them if they would rather do this or this. Like we can say, would you rather do the dishes or vacuum? And then that way we're also giving them a choice of what they want to do.
Awesome. And we can also use positive reinforcements for either attempting it or completing it, depending on their skill level. So before starting the task, let's let that child know what they're going to get when they complete this task. We work for paychecks, so what are they going to get? I know I wouldn't work, so I was getting that paycheck. So let's figure out what they need after this. You can use things that are already a privilege that they may be getting. We don't have to spend extra amounts of money. If they already watch TV, if they already play video games, if they already use their phone a bunch, we bought those things for them. So I think we're in charge of when they get to use them. This can even help with a lot of tech use. We can make it something that they earn instead of something that they just get. It can also be something as small as a break, just saying like, hey, when you're done, you can just chill out for a little bit, or something as big as a huge prize, like, hey, if you wash the dishes for a whole year, I'm going to take you to Disneyland, whatever it might be. It's got to match the difficulty. So if it's something super hard, make sure it's a super big prize. And these rewards should be given for attempts or completions, depending on what you've decided. But don't just give it to them, even if they didn't do anything. Once we give in, they've learned that that's what they can do to get their thing. If they get a treat just for being there and yelling and crying, and you just gave it to them, then they're going to know, all right, I'll just yell and cry and I'll get whatever I wanted.
What to do when your child doesn't comply. So what is our goal? Do we want the task done in the moment, or do we want that task to just get done eventually? If we just want it to get done eventually, we should stay calm, be patient. If we have the time, we can help the child complete the task. But before this, we should look at why they're not complying. And this can be for one of these 3 reasons that we listed. It's because they don't understand the task, but they're willing to do it, because they don't want to do the task at the moment, or because they never want to do that task. And that this can be either because they've never done the task, or they just simply don't want to do it.
So if it's that first one, because they don't understand, but they're willing to do it, maybe it's just something that they're like, oh, I don't really know, but I'll do it, or they're just kind of ignoring you. We can help them along the way. I think really our goal is for them to finish it. So let's help them out. We can use prompts like we talked about. We can use visuals, but let's help them out as much as we can. Once we feel like maybe it's happening more and more, let's fade out those prompts. Let's use them less and less. Maybe we started by guiding their whole body there. Let's go to that hand over hand. Let's go to those visuals. Let's go to the gesturals. Let's try to help them less and less so they become independent. And then reinforcing along the way, let's let them know like, hey, thank you so much for trying that. I love that you are helping me clean. I love that you're doing this chore. If it's something that maybe they don't understand and they realize that we really like it, they're going to want to do it even more.
Because they don't want to do the task at that moment. So in this case, we know that they've done the task before, or that they can do the task, but there's something in their environment that might be distracting them. In this case, we can offer different times. If the ultimate goal is completion, we're not worried about timeliness, so we can give a choice of when the task needs to be completed. We can also set a timer for how long they can wait until they start the task. So if they're watching their favorite TV show and it ends in 20 minutes, we can set a timer for 20 minutes. And then once that timer goes off, they'll have to start doing the task that we're asking them to do. If this is something that is happening often, we can also remove the distractor until the task is finished. So if the child is engaged in playing video games or watching TV, we can turn off the TV, put the video games away until the task gets completed. And then once they're done with it, they'll be able to have access to those items again. This will allow us to be flexible with their time, but will not allow them to escape doing the task, so they'll eventually have to do the task.
All right, and then the last one, because they never want to do it. This is something they hate to do. They'll yell at you, they'll scream at you. They just don't want to do it. They're going to say no. What we can do in these instances is break it up into littler steps. So if it's like they hate doing the dishes, maybe we just say, hey, can you just rinse them for me? And then I'll do the rest. Kind of that task analysis. Can you just put soap on it and then I'll do it? Whatever we can do to make it less difficult, and then build on that. Once they've done that a couple of times, let's try to see if they'll do the next step. We can also find how-to videos. I mean, all the kiddos nowadays are so techy. I think if they can have that access to tech and we can involve it in there in a fun way, they can find a how-to video, feel really confident, and show you how. Maybe you can even have them make a how-to video if they're really into that. They can show other people how they did it. We can offer preferred items or activity for trying or completing the task. So if this is something they hate, like I said, pull out that McFlurry, pull out that McDouble, whatever they love, let's bring it out there for that thing. And once they do it once, maybe they get that McFlurry after 5 times of doing it. Maybe they get it every month. We can work on fading it away and offer options to take a break. Like people say, nothing's too hard to do for 30 seconds. So if they think it's the worst thing in the world, let's just say, hey, do it for 30 seconds and then you can take a break. Then do it again for another 30 seconds. Maybe the next time it's a minute, but we can build off of that.
Some things to keep in mind as we're working on non-compliance and the tasks that we want our kids to complete. We have to ask ourselves, is this task reasonable? Does the task match the child's skill level? So if we have a 3-year-old child, something like washing the dishes would not be appropriate for us to teach them. So we should do a task that would be simpler for them. I don't know, something like putting your clothes away is something that I think a 3-year-old should be able to do.
And is this task going to help them in the future? Are we asking something of them that's going to be something they don't do in the future, or just a novelty? Like, are they going to need to learn how to do my taxes if maybe they're going to be doing their taxes in the future? Is this something that they're actually going to use? We don't need to teach them something that they're not going to use.
What were they doing before the task? Did they have a long day at school? Did they have a stressful event beforehand? You know, for me, when I have long days at work, the last thing on my mind is doing chores. So same thing with them. If they had a long day at school or something frustrating happened to them, they may not be in the right headspace to complete something in the moment that we're asking them to complete it.
And then, can this task be done later? Does your child have the option to ask you to do it later? Can they say, hey, I'm a little tired. I know when I get home from work and I get asked to do a chore, I'm like, oh, just give me 10 minutes to sit down, look at my phone or something. Can they have that same option? Did we have any questions? If you have any, you can just put it in the chat room. I'll give you guys a second. I'm not seeing any questions on the chat room. Thank you so much for attending. If you have any questions, feel free to email us or send anything to Valley Cares. We're definitely available for any questions you may have.